Antigua and Barbuda's Kimberly Percival has had a remarkable 2 years. The 32-year-old created history in 2021 when she became the first bodybuilder from her country to win the Arnold Classics Europe in her 2022 season. She went on to clinch titles at the Elite Pro Diamond Cup, at the Prague Bikini event, as well as the Jantana Pro Bikini Classic in Finland. She was also earlier this year conferred the title of Ambassador at Large by the government of Antigua and Barbuda. We're pleased to have Kimberly join us now via Zoom. Good afternoon.
Hi, good night.
Kimberly, first of all, congratulations. What a year it has been for you. Just talk to me about how do you feel reflecting on all that has happened for you?
I am already excited for 2023. The work never stops. This year, I'm extremely grateful for the opportunities that I've had. Being able to participate in 5 events in 1 year and get as far as Prague and Finland is mind-blowing when you sit back and think about it. When 2 years ago we could barely leave our homes. So I'm definitely extremely grateful for the last 2 years, what I've been fortunate enough to achieve, and definitely looking forward to the future.
So tough question. I listed a lot of your achievements, a lot of your wins. Which one has been your most favorite?
Ooh. Of this year or in general?
Maybe in general, yeah. I think in general.
In general, I would have to say winning World Championships last year. It was not only a win for me, for Antigua, for the Caribbean, being the first Black person to win the Elite Pro World Championships and Arnold Classic. I think it opened the door for a lot of us. It also means that the small countries can also compete with the bigger countries that are taking teams of 20 persons. Last year was just 4 of us representing at that championship. So hands down, I think that would be my favorite. It was coming in as a newbie, that was also my debut professional year. I would have only done 1 event prior to that, which qualified me for that championship, a win in St. Martin. And coming into that show, it was all about, embracing the whirlwind of an experience at being a small island represented at World Championships. So to walk away last year with that crown, with that title, hands down has to be my best memory to date.
So Kimberly, recently I've started, doing some gym work myself. It's been such a task, right? It's been extremely exhausting. So maybe you can talk to us, because I've been looking at the images of you flashing across our screen, the amount of work that goes into you when it's competition day.
Yes. To be fair, the physique that I have now is years in the making. I started competing back in 2011 as an amateur for quite a few years before earning my pro status. So what you see is definitely not an overnight success. There are years of consistency and diligence that went into that. In terms of preparations for me, typically as I am right now, I'm in my off season or quote unquote improvement season. Your calories are a little bit higher and you're focusing on maybe filling out or building or improving on weaker areas of the physique, basically filling gaps, When I switch over to prep or starting to shed body fat in order to show all those details.
Yes.
Typically, I give myself about 20 weeks. That's 5 months. And a lot of people are surprised by that. But I prefer a slow and gentle approach. And I think I'd recommend the same thing for somebody who's just looking to improve their lifestyle in general. A lot of times we go into it expecting whirlwind results in a very short period of time. And 1, it puts a lot of pressure on yourself. And 2, when it doesn't happen the way that you want, you get demotivated. So I'm always for the approach of slow and steady. Give yourself time, be gentle, tick off the small victories as you go along. And then when you look back at it in 20 weeks later, you have this fantastic physique that you never knew was even under there.
Yeah. Kimberly, I see where your successes in Europe came pretty swiftly after each other. Your recent successes in Prague and in Finland, were they just 2 weekends apart? And how was that for you?
It was actually 1 weekend apart. Given the distance that I have to travel coming from the Caribbean, what I aimed to do was plan shows that were relatively close to each other and just make it one long circuit, for lack of a better term. So Ideally, I would have stayed after Spain, which was the middle of September. But I came back home, did a little bit more homework, and then went off to Prague, which that event I think was the last weekend of September. And then Finland was literally the following week. So we flew from Prague, touched down in London, and went straight to Finland to compete at that other show. You know, the journey back and forth is taxing on the body, taxing on the immune system. You're missing workouts. So it's always better for me to try and choreograph everything within a specific time period that you can kind of just be on that side of the world, knock out everything you have to, and then come home.
Yeah. Can you qualify for us, to the viewer who is not necessarily an expert in this field, your bodybuilding expertise as against because some of your titles are fitness titles. Was there a point where you were really focusing more on fitness than bodybuilding? And how were you able to blend the two to become as successful as you are now?
Well, essentially what it is, bodybuilding has evolved over the years. For instance, when I first started bodybuilding in 2011, the only female categories that were available was female bodybuilding, which is a lot more bulky, yes, or body fitness. Since then, many categories have been added to the roster. And the idea is appeal to various body types, shapes, desires of leanness, desires of development. So the category that I compete in is bikini fitness. That is the full title. In some instances, you'll hear it in a shorthand form, simply referred to as bikini, but it's one and the same. Whereas you have a physical fitness competition, which includes acrobatics and strength and flexibility displays. But my category specifically is bikini fitness. Essentially what they're looking for, I would say, bikini fitness is one of the lesser developed female categories. So we're more or less the entry point. From there, you have bikini wellness, which appeals more to the more bottom heavy girls. So you'll find they have fuller legs and glutes and hamstrings. And then you graduate then up to women's physique, which are generally more developed, more lean, more cut, more muscular. Very similar to the aesthetic of what most people may know female bodybuilding to be, but without the severe hardness. That category has actually been done away with for a few years now. So even with the male categories, there are varying categories that appeal to different body structures and size and development.
All right, Kimberly, we're pretty much out of time now, so we're going to leave you just now, but I believe that this is going to be one of many interviews we'll be doing with you in the coming years because of the high levels that you have reached. But you referenced your St. Martin championship that you won that qualified you for the pro. I know you had gone to Barbados to win a Darcy Beckles event as well. We know the Barbadians are very strong on bodybuilding, so to go there and dominate would have been, you know, a feather in your cap, if you want to put it that way. But just a quick comment before you go on regional bodybuilding and fitness as a developmental area in Caribbean sport.
Definitely think we're back on the rise. I think in the last few years, it was pretty dormant, you know, with COVID, etc.
Yes.
But having a few Caribbean countries go out and have successes, point an example last year, I think it has served as an inspiration. And you're seeing more shows pop up in the region. We had an event in St. Martin, as you mentioned, Barbados. I know next year we have Aruba popping up as well. Jamaica's always been a very big host as well. So I think in the future, we will see the return of bodybuilding back in the Caribbean region and more options for shows being offered as well, inclusive of pro qualifiers.
Well, Kimberly, I want to wish you all the best. Continue flying the Antigua and Barbuda flag very, very high. And we look forward to chatting again.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, Kimberly Percival, there, the Antiguan bodybuilder. We'll be right back after this quick break.